I stand before you a broken man. Broken, but not down and not out by a long stretch. Well, so as you know, this has been the challenge video that we've been talking about. Both bigstackD and VegOilGuy and I, all three of us have been talking about this. And we've been talking amongst each other, not telling anybody what we're going to do, but, well, this is what we're going to do. And you probably already know that based on the fact that you've probably already watched those other guys' videos. And I'm probably the last but not least of the three that you're going to watch. This is it. It's a Klingon knife. Both bigstackD and I got ours off of Thingiverse and printed them up on our 3D printers. Glued it together, cleaned it all up with body filler. That's why it's kind of pink and black, because it was black plastic and pink body filler. Anyway, went ahead and did this. Now, I knew that everybody was going to be making one of these things. I thought, well, self, how can I stand out? How can I do something those guys couldn't touch? I thought to myself, cast iron. I could do it out of cast iron. I mean, come on, how much cooler would it be to have a knife that's made out of cast iron than aluminum or bronze? I mean, bronze is pretty, bronze I can go either way. Bronze is kind of cool, but cast iron, come on. Well, I started off with one of these guys. I busted it all up over there. I busted it all up into little pieces, put it in my crucible, put it down in my furnace, and I turned that flame on for a long time, like probably 40 minutes, 35, 40 minutes. I did get it to melt. There it is, right there. It's pouring. I got it to melt. However, I didn't get it very good, because when I pulled this thing apart, this is basically what I pulled out of the, however it went in there, probably went in this way. This is basically what I pulled out of the mold. I got my pouring basin, I got my sprue, I've got stuff that ran over the top of the, over the flask. You can see it pouring over there in that video, and then this is what came out. This is what it actually cast, which was my runner and a little bit of the gate, and then it basically froze up and it didn't do anything. I did manage to get this cool ingot that I made. I thought, well, I can't pour it into a metal mold, so I'll pour it into sand. Well, there you go. So if your name starts with an E and you're interested in a cast iron E, let me know. Maybe we can hook you up. Or maybe it's M. Maybe that's what it is, an M. Or it's a 3. 3. I don't know. Anyway, cast iron didn't work for me. It almost destroyed my furnace. It almost destroyed my crucible. In fact, my crucible is probably toast. No good anymore, because it melted all over the crucible, and then I can't get that cast iron that's left in there out. So I think cast iron's going in the old rubbish bin, trash bin. I hate to say it, but it served me well. So let's see, what else? All right, so let me tell you about what I did to mold this thing up, because I don't have a lot. I have some video, but it's actually the cast iron pour. But basically what I did is I took the knife, the pattern, and I set it on what I think it's called a false drag. It's probably got a real name, and I don't know what it is, but I'm going to call it a false drag, because basically I took the drag, I rammed it all up solid, nothing in it, just made a nice smooth top. I set this down on top of it, on top of the surface, and then the low spots I basically just dug out, so it would be, the whole thing would be sitting on there flat. Then once that's all done, I got it all talked up. I went ahead and set the cope on it, and I rammed up the cope so it had a perfect image of the top part of the knife. And actually, all of this, the whole knife, with the exception of this little bit, is up in the cope, not down in the drag. It's up in the cope. You turn that over, you pull the drag off of there, you break it all up, you take the sand out of it, and you put the knife in the cope's upside down now, you put the knife into the cope, you talc it all up, you put the drag on it, and you ram more sand down on there. Now you've got basically a nice flat image of this, and you've got a little bit molded for the bottom of for the handle of the knife. And that's how I rammed it up. Once it's rammed up, I went ahead and cut in, as you can see, I'll show you this in the pour in a little bit. I cut in 2 gates. I poured like right here, gated it in 2 spots in the handle. I put a blind feeder in there as well, because I could. I don't think it really needed it, but I thought I'll feel better about myself if I put a little blind feeder in there, just in case this thing decided it wanted to shrink. I vented it at these points here, right off them, not on them, but off of the side. And then I put a larger vent, like a 1/2 inch vent, or maybe it was probably even maybe 3/4 of an inch, out off the end of the tip here, just to make sure that I got no gas entrapment going out to the end. And I had just a little bit of molten metal that came up that would supply this flat spot should it start to shrink. And I thought, it's not a huge feeder, but it could double as a vent and a feeder, and probably enough. And as it turns out, I didn't need it. It didn't shrink. So let's get to the pour. I'll show you the pour right now. I got metal in that big old vent at the end, so I'm gonna hope it's good. Alrighty, it's been, you know, a couple minutes. That sounds hard. That sounds hard. Let's see what we got. I'll let you see it right along with me. We got us a knife. Knife with a nice finish, nice fill. Everything went to the ends. I don't see any shrinkage on that handle. We'll see when we take it all apart. Let me get it out of here, and I'll take you through what I did. All right, I'm going to hold on to it so you can't get a total reveal yet, but I am going to show you what I do with the pour. First of all, for those of you that don't think a tiny sprue, where can I put this so you can maybe see that? Works. Look right there. I don't know what I did. I don't know what happened. I don't know why I keep having problems with the bottom of my sprues. Anyway, but look how small that is. You see that little notch that came out of there? That pretty tiny sprue. So we had our fill basin come in. Had pretty good distance from the top, so we filled it up here, and we made sure the metal continuously flowed over the top of that ridge. I brought it up all the way to the top, so it was always full. It poured down into a runner on the bottom, and you can kind of see what I did here. The runner came across. I cut a gate into the top of the runner, into the cope, so that it would fill across and it would fill up. Hopefully keeping hot clean metal coming up the hole. Also, I decided just because I could, I put in a small, I can see that, yeah, there it is. I put in a small, what I would call a hidden feeder or a blind feeder, just because I was a little afraid of the size of this part might shrink. It doesn't look like I got any shrinkage, but that's it. And then down here at the end, I vented it off the end, and you can see I got a pretty good finish here. I'm just going to show you, just the whole thing looks this way. I'm not going to show you the whole knife, but the finish that came out of here, this is right out of the sand. This is me doing nothing to it. So pretty happy with that, pretty happy with that. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and kind of cut these parts off, the vents off, and we'll get it cleaned up, and I'll take you along for the ride. It's pretty exciting stuff. It's like cutting, sanding, cutting, sanding, sanding, cutting. But I'm going to show you what it looks like. So here we go. All right, yeah, cutting, sanding, cutting, all this stuff. Let me just show you real quick. bored the heck out of me to record it, and I started editing it, it bored the heck out of me again. So I'm going to just take you through it really, really quick. First things first, I cut the pieces off the feeders off, or the gates off the part with the angle grinder cutoff wheel. Then I took it over to my belt sander and I kind of sanded those areas smooth down to the edge of the part. From there, I went ahead and used my file and I cleaned up some of the rough edges. A couple of spots where the parting wasn't just exactly like I wanted, and particularly right down through that little slot right there. Just basically I got the file in there and just cleaned that all out of there. And I was going to just polish up the blade, but it didn't work out that way because I had to cut away gates and stuff, and I had golden metal and I had brown metal, and I had to clean it all, unfortunately. So then I took my angle grinder with a flap disc on it, sanding disc on it, and I basically just knocked off all the oxide layer that was on the outside. You saw how good it looked. It was clean. In fact, I'm going to show you again in just a minute how stinking good it looked. Let me do it right now. I wanted to show you though, real quick, if I can't get zoomed in here a little bit, on the surface finish before I go ahead and sand it all off. I mean, you can see, I'm hoping you can see how smooth that is. And that's how the whole thing looks. There's not a pit in it. There's no nothing. It's just nice and smooth. Very nice finish. I'm very pleased with the finish. Even on the grip where I hit it with the sander, like right there. But you can see, very nice finish. Very nice. All right. So now once that's done, let's see, what else did I do? Oh, I took this guy, a handy dandy palm sander, 200 grit paper. That's what I used. Sanded everything with 200 grit sandpaper. Then I sanded everything with 400 grit sandpaper, and it looked just like this. Just in case you're wondering. Once I got that all done, I decided that I would do two different kinds of finishes on this knife. The first finish is on the handle, and I used a wire brush. In my drill press, you can still see it sitting up over there. Basically had the brush spinning. I just kind of, did that. And then the other thing I did, in fact, it's still sitting there too, my buffing wheel. I buffed out the blade so it's all shiny. And I use stuff like this on it. It says polishing compound brown for copper, brass, aluminum, and most metals. That's what I use to polish the blade up. And that's basically standard. It looks like this. In case you're wondering. Anyway, so before I get to the reveal, before I show you the finished thing, I want to show you one more thing. If you haven't already been over there, you need to go look at both bigstackD, and he's got a little trailer we put right here, and also VegOilGuy, who's got a trailer that's going to show up right there. I want you to go over and check out their videos, check out their knives. I haven't, at the time I'm recording this, I haven't seen them. So it's going to be a surprise for all of us. I just know that Jeff's is bigger than mine. So, are you ready? That's awkward silence. I'm making you wait. Let me grab it here. All righty, here we go. There's my knife. As I told you, the handle, I brushed it, so it's got kind of a brush finish on it. It's more of a satin finish. And then the blade, I polished up on the buffing wheel. So you can see that it's pretty shiny. It's pretty nice. It didn't take a lot for me to clean this up because it came out of the mold so well. So that's it. What think ye? Huh? That was it. Another challenge video. Had a great time. Learned a lot. Not going to do cast iron again. I know that. That was awful. And may it cost me a furnace. I don't know yet. So anyway, go check out the other guys' videos. And have a great day.